Wow, it's bright. Your Excellency, Mr. Bandar al-Khurayev and the Vice Minister Khalid al-Mudaifer and assembled dignitaries, brothers and sisters. It's been 3 full years since we started this conference, and it has grown enormously thanks to the vision of the kingdom, and it's again an honor to be here. We're going to speak very quickly for only 25 minutes about the way we see the world, but let's start with how we started 3 years ago, reminding you that all of us are living on a little planet hurtling through space. We're spinning at 1,000 miles an hour as we sit here. We're racing around our sun as we orbit at 66,000 miles an hour. And our entire solar system is orbiting the Milky Way galaxy at a speed of 514,000 miles an hour. Therefore, it takes 230 million years for one galactic year. And in that last year, the dinosaurs were wiped out, humanity was created, financial markets were created, and our species is still trying to find a way not to all kill each other. So in the 3 years since we started this, we witnessed the Russian invasion of Ukraine and the tragedy in Gaza and the conflict with Israel and tensions with Iran. And we've watched the balkanization of the world economy as it devolves into competing groups. We have Chinese representation here, and in a few days, Donald Trump will be the President of the United States, and no one has yet talked about it. But we all live on this little planet together, and I say, alhamdulillah, thanks to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, a new force of young people has arisen in the middle to try to preserve the stability in this world, because there's no need to fight over energy, there's no need to have wars over crude oil, and there's certainly no need to have wars over critical raw materials. We all are in this together for our kids and our grandkids. Somebody has to talk a little bit about sanity. We can't enjoy our life with so much suffering near the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. So, we all know about electricity. You've been hearing people about demand for energy. Our electrical grids will crash and burn if you believe the demands we're talking about for artificial intelligence. You know, warfare is now driven by drones. If my drone, which is connected to AI software, has less latency from a satellite and access to more AI, it will kill you before you can kill me with your drone. And so military demand, sophisticated new armaments and technology are drawing as much of these critical raw materials or more than the energy transition. We've all been talking about greening the world of the economy for our kids, solar power, wind power, electrification of everything. But the raw materials we need to do that compete with military demand that is now going to infinity. Data centers alone are projected to use a total of 1,000 terawatt hours in the next 2 years. We've already had 3 of these. This is the 4th of these conferences. So that demand would be equal to all of the electrical consumption of Japan. And you know, markets are made at the margin. If I hold a telephone book out here at the end of my arm for 2 hours, I can probably do it. But after 2 hours, if I put a feather out there, it'll break my arm. So that's an incredible increase in energy demand. And Google searches. When you do a Google search, you use a very small quantum of energy, 1,000 joules. But an AI search uses between 10 times and 30 times more. So it'd be about, instead of using the power to run a 100-watt light bulb for 10 or 12 seconds, it's the power to run that light bulb for 3 or 4 minutes. And all your kids are going to be doing an endless amount of AI searches soon. Where is that electrical energy going to come from? And renewable energy is insanely, absurdly metals intensive. Those windmills are made out of steel, high-strength steel, and those blades have to be recycled. They only have a life of 20 years. An electric car is using 6 times the minerals of a conventional car. An offshore wind farm uses 9 times more minerals than just burning natural gas, which gets me back to remembering, thank God, for the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and its energy endowment. This is the endowment that's keeping the world stable. This is the endowment of energy that built all the cities in the world. London, Los Angeles, and New York was built since the 1950s on this energy. And the idea that we can live without it is insane. We need every kind of energy we can stack up to solve this problem, because we're soon scheduled to have 10 billion people on this little mote of dust circling throughout the universe. Now, there's a reason why underwater power cables are so expensive. And everybody's building these things out at sea where these gigantic windmills are chewing up birds. I'm not sure that's the right thing to be doing, but those cables are insanely expensive. And now comes the United States military and NATO. Basically, everything you know of in post-World War II military equipment is obsolete. Elon is saying we don't need human beings in fighter jets. So the F-35 or F-19 American fighter jet, why is there a person in there when we can invent these robots to come and kill you at astronomical speed, but very material intensive? So the West is in a panic about the supply chain that protects the national security of the United States. And there's a new sheriff in town in 4 or 5 days driving the US administration, and things are really going to get volatile and change. I choose to be optimistic about that. And here's a good picture of what's going on. Donald Trump is already acting as the 47th president. He's not scheduled to be inaugurated for 5 more days, but everyone in this audience knows he's already taken over. China will work with the United States on a basis of mutual respect. If both sides can respect each other equally, everything is possible. But many strategists are saying that Beijing is bracing for bitter superpower rivalry over trade, technology, and security issues. And all of these issues, well, we used to fight wars over crude oil, and now all these issues are definitely, everybody's talking about critical raw materials. What materials are critical? What materials do we really need and why? And what is the critical role that the kingdom can play in maintaining a peaceful and balanced multipolar world? The transition from a unipolar or bipolar world to a multipolar world critically depends on the success of the kingdom. And look what's happened in only 3 years. This small conference was an idea in the mind of the Minister of Mines and his Vice Minister. And since then, this has become the preeminent speaking platform for the entire mining industry. Who else could get 85 mining ministers to attend? We need to mine as much copper in the next 18 years as our species has mined in the last 10,000 years just to maintain 3% economic growth. At the rate we're going now, China is looking like it will consume 17 million tons of copper this year in their infrastructure build-out. It's really hard for me to explain to you how difficult it is to build a mine, a sustainable mine. A mine that's running on Islamic principles, benefiting local communities, a mine that can be audited for being green. How hard is it going to be just to maintain 3% economic growth? That's without military demand, and that's without the energy transition. We need to mine as much copper in the next 20 years as we've mined in the last 10,000 years. So us miners have our work cut out for us. We'd appreciate all the support we can get from the kingdom. If you imagine 6 large mines, world-class mines, coming on every year till 2050, that's what's considered to be necessary for any rational attempt at an energy transition. And 40% of that new production would be for electrification, data centers, and upgrading the grid. If 20% of the American public had an electric car today, and came home at 5 o'clock after work and plugged in that electric car, the entire grid would just roll over and die. The grid's just not available for that. And that's why my hat's off to His Royal Highness Prince Abdulaziz, who firmly understands it's the energy stability provided by the kingdom on which all of us are really dependent. And there is so much misinformation about everything having to do with mining or critical raw materials or energy. We need this forum to get people's feet back on the ground and discuss what we need to do and how we can try to innovate our ways out of this for the benefit of our species, for the benefit of our kids and our grandkids. And that gets me to Africa. It's right here. We're on the doorstep of Africa, home to 30% of the world's mineral resources, which has the richest critical mineral endowment. And I just want to teach all of you how big Africa really is. So this is the Mercator projection of the world to true size, because all of you were taught a lie when you went to school. You were showed the Mercator transaction. The distance east to west across Africa is much greater than the distance across Russia, east to west. When you see Russia shrinking, that's the real size of Russia. And although Donald Trump may think Greenland is really big, it's not that big. Because the true size of the Earth is distorted by the Mercator projection. The further north you are, the smaller the actual size. Now, I think it's a good idea for the United States and Canada to merge and form a country. We would be a little bit larger than Mother Russia, but as you can see, Russia's not as big as it's supposed to be. But look at Africa, and look at the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. It doesn't change in true size. Latin America doesn't change much. Australia does pretty well. But these maps are presenting a false view of what our planet really looks like. Now, if you want to find metals, I can't go mining in Russia. That's off limits. I have a pretty hard time mining in China. And Latin America, not so easy in Latin America. It's possible to mine in Latin America, but there's a lot of places there that have some issues. It's Africa, ladies and gentlemen, where the metals are most readily obtainable. It's Africa where we have to go to have any attempt at a critical energy transition. Look at poor Europe. Hopeless, almost nothing there. They haven't got a clue. The United States and Canada have a big mineral endowment, and Latin America still has a lot more to be developed, but we need a lot of energy and a lot of work to get there from here. I'm going to just show you this movie about one mine. I showed it to you before, updated, to give you an idea of what it took to build the best copper mine in the world, the greenest copper mine in the world, the highest grade copper mine in the world, the most rapidly growing copper mine in the world, 30 years of our life to bring one of these mines on stream. The world needs 6 of these per year. It's going to be hard to find anything that matches the mineral endowment in the Democratic Republic of the Congo. I just went to the Ministerial Roundtable Forum with 1,000 experts, a lot of gurus and consulting firms, and they ranked the project of bringing more electricity to the Democratic Republic of the Congo the #1 project for humanity for critical raw materials. We've been talking about this for a long time, but I want you to have a look at this again to understand how much work it takes for one. And I'm going to sit down and relax while you watch it. I'll be back. Thank you. So when we look at copper growth in the world, our joint venture is by far the largest. If you look at new copper production in the world from 2021 to 2026, the Democratic Republic of the Congo just dwarfs anything else on the planet. Hence, the position of the Ghawar oil field in Saudi Arabia is comparable to the copper in the Congo. And on this little planet, we don't get to choose where we go. It was an American cooperation here in Saudi Arabia that helped discover the Prosperity Well number 7, the Arab Zone, that brought on the enormous development of oil in Saudi Arabia, led to the birth of Aramco, and supported the world. We have to go to where the metals are. And we have to find a way to work sustainably with the local people. Now, I'm very happy to say that one of our companies, Ivanhoe Electric, worked with Robert Wilt, the CEO of Ma'aden, and we're working with a technology that can directly see copper and gold and other metals in the earth. And we've only surveyed 250 square kilometers out of almost 50,000 square kilometers. So a fraction of 1% of the survey area has just started, and we've already discovered very attractive copper mineralization with this world-leading technology, Typhoon. So we have a small film to remind the audience that we're actually working in the kingdom in an equal joint venture between Ivanhoe Electric on the New York Stock Exchange and Ma'aden. We're also building an ultra-modern copper mine in Arizona, and we'd love more Saudi investment in our American copper production. I'm sure that Donald would appreciate that. So we have a short film about Ivanhoe Electric, and I will again come back.
Ivanhoe Electric is a U.S. company focused on finding and developing new sources of critical electric metals required for the clean energy transition and the electrification of everything. We combine proprietary, disruptive technologies with a world-class exploration team and experienced senior management to advance a portfolio of high-quality projects. Ivanhoe Electric's proprietary Typhoon technology is a powerful, ground-based geophysical surveying platform that enables resource discovery across large areas of land at great depths. Typhoon can detect a wide variety of conductive and chargeable geophysical anomalies over large areas quickly and efficiently. Typhoon enhances our ability to discover new deposits of critical metals. Our subsidiary, Computational Geosciences, has proprietary, machine learning-based software that converts the raw data from Typhoon into 3D models of underground geology for follow-up drilling. We are also partnered in a 50-50 joint venture with Saudi Arabian mining company, Ma'aden, one of the largest and fastest-growing mining companies in the world, where we are leveraging our world-class technology platform in Saudi Arabia to explore for electric metals including copper, gold, and silver across approximately 48,500 square kilometers of Saudi Arabian shield. In November 2023, we commenced our first Typhoon survey on the Al Amar exploration area near Ma'aden's Al Amar mine. We believe this is the world's largest 3D direct current induced polarization survey conducted to date. Computational Geosciences rapidly converted the raw data from Typhoon into a 3D model demonstrating Typhoon's capability to reach depths of 1.5 kilometers, far exceeding the depths of historical drill holes. The 3D model shows 3 chargeability anomalies for drill testing. Drilling to date has intersected copper mineralization and is defining a mineralized system extending over 250 meters in strike length and 175 meters in depth. As the joint venture completes its first full year of exploration in Saudi Arabia, we now have 3 Typhoon units working simultaneously across the land package. Collectively, they have surveyed more than 250 square kilometers of land to date, a number which grows each day. We are honored to partner with Ma'aden as we work together to uncover the tremendous mineral potential of Saudi Arabia.
So we have found copper near the Al Amar mine. I first came here 35 years ago to Al Amar, and in that area very quickly, surveying less than 1% of our joint venture with Ma'aden, we immediately find copper. I'd like you to imagine what would happen if the entire kingdom is surveyed with the world's most advanced geophysical technology. Now here we have Mount Nimba in Guinea, Conakry, West Africa. This is the highest grade iron ore deposit in the world. It has no waste. It doesn't require a mill. About $850 million has been invested to date, and it's just absolutely the highest grade, 68% iron in the sunshine. This is the perfect iron to bring to the kingdom for the steel mills that are going to be bought in this country, in a Sunni Islamic country that would love to have foreign investment. And the American government is giving the support for a new railroad and port through Liberia to bring this material to the ocean. So if you're interested in ultra-high-grade iron ore in the Saudi mining industry, please give us a call. Now I'd like to show you some hope for the future with truly disruptive technology. In the few minutes we have, this is the most powerful machine ever built by human beings. It generates 88 trillion watts, more than 10 times the total amount of power generated by all of the world's power plants. This machine has been used in the atomic weapons industry, but this core technology we're bringing here to the kingdom. So let's give you a little video about how this technology works.
We are studying physics today that we didn't know we could study when we first built the facility.
We have a tool here that nobody else on the planet does, and this provides us sort of unfettered and exclusive access to states that just cannot be created any other way outside of a weapons test. Z is basically a giant battery. It's a big capacitor bank. The entire innards of Z is a series of stages meant to simply take that electrical pulse and compress it in space, compress it in time, and generate the most extreme pulse of electrical power that you can on this planet. And that energy is funneled down to a tiny little centimeter-sized target region at the very middle of the facility, and that's where the physics experiment is.
Well, for a very, very brief period of time, we actually have more power flowing through our machine than all of the rest of the world combined.
The pressure that we can create with the Z machine is about 100 million times atmospheric pressure. We can use that pressure to accelerate materials at very high velocities, anywhere from hundreds to 1,000 kilometers per second. We can create very high velocity implosions, grow material together, and reach even more extreme pressures than we could if we just slowly squeezed on them.
We can achieve temperatures hotter than the center of the sun. We can fuse hydrogen atoms together to create helium and produce copious amounts of energy.
So Sandia National Labs is America's preeminent nuclear weapons research laboratory. That core technology for civilian applications is being developed. And with this core technology, we compress electrical energy. We take the small amount of chemical electrical energy in your battery and we compress it with supercapacitors. And with that compressed energy, we make very high-powered electrical fields, which are used here in Typhoon in the Kingdom to Fine Metals. We make high-powered shock waves. We make very powerful magnetic fields, and we make very powerful electrical discharges. And this core technology can help us to develop the mineral industry in a whole new way. So I'm going to give you two vignettes that will tell you how we're going to use this technology. We're almost done. This is self-explanatory. As a fundamental human activity, we generate enormous amounts of global warming gas in crushing and grinding rock. All of these activities can be revolutionized with pulse electrical power.
So simply put, IROX breaks rock. What you're seeing behind me is ore from the Escondida mine in Chile. And as that falls through the column, we use our proprietary pulse power technology to burst the rock from the inside. Conventionally, we break rock by crushing it from the outside. When you burst it from the inside using a tensile force, you can use up to 80% less energy than conventional grinding technologies. And so we're able to take these large pieces of rock down to a very fine powder, but we do so very efficiently.
So you discharge energy quickly in somewhere between 50 billionths of a second to 50 millionths of a second, and you get peak powers from megawatts to terawatts. That's pulsed power. We can crack, fracture, drill, and mine with that energy.
You have a chain of events. The primary crusher, the SAG mill, the ball mill. What we want to do is take away that SAG mill and that ball mill. Bye-bye. It's a huge savings in electricity and a much lower carbon footprint.
By breaking rock along mineralogical boundaries, we're able to unlock more of the valuable metals that are trapped inside. We're seeing this translate into up to 5% higher metal recoveries, which is incredibly valuable, both in terms of the companies that are involved, as well as the new metals that are needed for the energy transition.
iPulse, iRocks, iMine, these are all examples of breakthrough technologies. They have the potential to radically transform the way that we go about the act of mining and processing.
I think this is going to be a tremendous impact and change in the mining industry. Safety benefits, the decarb benefits, obviously the increased production and the bottom line benefits. It's a quadruple win on all dimensions.
It is technology that I think will be an important part of the change in our industry in terms of how we break through with some techniques that we've used for 100, 150 years.
For whatever reasons, we have some difficulties as an industry to innovate. And here I think we have a good example that innovation is possible.
This is almost like the holy grail that the mining industry has been searching for decades. The technologies that iPulse brings will help mining industry become part of the solution rather than being part of the problem.
We can produce all the metals we need for all of humanity with a lot less global warming gas. We have a better, cleaner, and greener way to use electrical energy, and it will change everything. You know, it's like trying to have an ant swallow an elephant, explaining technology quickly to an audience like this. But we'd like everyone in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia to understand this technology and work together with us to change the world for the better. And so I have one more video, and then we're going to just about wrap this up. This is about geothermal energy, and there's a huge amount of heat under the soil here. Once we have a cheaper way to tunnel in Mother Earth, all of humanity can have cheap, global warming-free electrical energy. Everybody. The sun doesn't shine all the time. The wind doesn't blow all the time. But the heat that we have from Mother Earth is there forever on the human time scale.
G-Pulse is targeting geothermal applications in order to make it economically viable to create electricity thanks to deep geothermal power plants. The main issue currently with the conventional technology is the cost of the drilling. And what we aim at here is to reduce the cost per kilometer by a factor at least 2. The basic idea is to integrate our pulse power to help the conventional tool. It's like if we were softening the rock thanks to high pulse power.
So at the interface of our tool and the rock, with very powerful electromagnetic pulses, the rock stops thinking it's a rock. It thinks it's a gas. It just falls apart.
The concept of building a huge heat exchanger underground is already proven, but the challenge is to reduce the drilling cost to make this concept economically viable. G-Pulse has already reduced the cost of drilling by 70%, and we are going to commercialize it by 2027.
If you're successful in going down to 3 miles, 5 kilometers, you can tap 5 times the energy that the planet consumes every day. 5 times. So there's no energy crisis. There's a crisis in our ability to get the abundant energy that's right under our feet.
Conventional drills, even diamond bits, wear out quickly in granite. You can take pulse power, fracture the rock so that the drill bit can grind out the rock quickly without wearing out the bit. That's G-Pulse. If we can build geothermal energy sources, frankly, we have almost free energy on this planet.
We're talking about a way to give human beings cheap electrical energy that's green. The scale of that is anything beyond your wildest imagination. We're talking about liberating the equivalent of thousands of nuclear power plants. We don't need to build nuclear power plants. We don't need to pave the earth in solar cells. We don't need to chop up birds offshore in windmills. We can just utilize the heat of the earth. But we can't do that without a better way to drill and tunnel. And that's what G-Pulse is doing. So Carl Sagan said it, and I'm repeating it from 3 years ago. We're all in this together. We're all living on that little dot. That's home. That's us. Everybody you love, everyone you know, everyone you ever heard of, every human being who ever was. We live out our lives on this small planet together under Allah. I pray that the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and the young people here will help us to transform the entire energy situation in the world. It was Saudi Arabia that gave the hydrocarbon, that built the modern world. It's Saudi Arabia that has modernized Aramco into one of the greatest corporations. And it's the young people of Saudi Arabia, and I'm saying this as a 74-year-old, that have the position in history to help us work with these technologies and find a way out of the dilemma we face. And hopefully, we can provide peace and a good life for all 10 million people that are soon scheduled to live on this planet. Thank you very much for attending. Assalamu alaikum. I appreciate it.